Ladies and gentlemen, you are welcome. In this video, we are going to look at the pyruvate dehydrogenase deficiency. And if you actually want to know the basic concept on this inborn error of lipid metabolism, I have video on the general introduction on inborn error of metabolism and also the enzymes the deficiency that are associated with anemia. So you can watch my video on the channel. So now we are going to look at the pyruvate dehydrogenase deficiency. So it is a rare disease, and of course, in about 250,000 births, there is a likelihood that one individual will actually, or one child will come up with a pyruvate dehydrogenase deficiency. So it's a very rare disease, and the main symptoms is lactic acidosis. Because remember, the pyruvate dehydrogenase is an enzyme that involve the conversion of pyruvate, to acetyl-CoA, But in a situation where there is deficiency of this enzyme, that is pyruvate dehydrogenase, so when there is a deficiency of the enzymes, so it will block the conversion of pyruvate to acetyl-CoA. So therefore, as a result of that, then the pyruvate will be accumulated. And of course, remember that pyruvate is involved in the conversion or in the production of lactic acid using an enzyme called lactate dehydrogenase. So because the reaction is reversible, it's a reversible reaction. So that is why when pyruvate is actually accumulated, then it will now be channeling to be generating a lot of lactic acid. So as a result of that, there will be a lactic acidosis, because a lactic acid is an acid. So as a result of that, there will be an increase in hydrogen ion concentration. So that leads to a disease called acidosis. That is lactic acidosis. And it also affects, there will be a neuronal loss in brain. And there is also muscular hypotonia. So these are the major incidents that actually happen, as well as the symptoms of pyruvate dehydrogenase deficiency enzymes. So then the next thing that we are going to look at is carbohydrate intolerance disorders. So let's start with hereditary lactose intolerance. Is this a rare disorder due to deficiency of lactase or beta galactosidase enzymes? So of course, remember that lactose is a disaccharide that involves the conversion of course, the lactose is a disaccharide that in the presence of lactase, it will be break down to produce glucose. It will produce glucose plus galactose. So lactase is an enzyme that involves the conversion of hydrolysis of lactose to galactose and glucose. As a result of the deficiency of these enzymes, then the lactose will not actually be degraded into glucose and galactose. So there will be a colossal accumulation of lactose. So that is actually a lactose intolerance. So it is. So then the symptoms of this lactose intolerance include diarrhea, inadequate nutrition and fluids, and electrolyte disturbances. And prominent features is Lactosuria. That is the prominent features of this galactose intolerance is actually the presence of glucose or the presence of lactose in urine, and that is lactose intolerance. So milk is not digested in an individual, so milk products are preferred. So because this lactose is a major sugar that are found in glucose. So sorry, in the milk is the major sugar found in milk. So the milk actually cannot be digested in an individual. So the milk products are preferred instead of the milk. So that is what happened in the lactose intolerance. So then so the next thing is actually fructose intolerance. So fructose intolerance is a recessive disorder, and the incidence is usually 1 in 20,000. And it means that actually 1% in 70 persons are carriers of abnormal gene. So you should understand that these enzymes deficiency or these enzymes is always found as a carrier in 1 to 70%. In 1 to 70 persons are the carrier of the abnormal gene, and the defect is aldolase B is due to aldolase or fructose 1P aldolase. So if the of course fructose 1, if this enzymes is deficient, it means that fructose 1 phosphate cannot be metabolized. So at the end, we'll have fructose accumulated in the urine or in the blood. So that is what you call fructose intolerance. It is an autosomal recessive disorder. So it leads to the accumulation of the fructose 1,6-phosphate, and as a result of that, it will lead to severe hypoglycemia, vomiting, hepatic failure, and jaundice. So fructose 1-phosphate is allosterically inhibits liver phosphorylase and block glycogenolysis, leading to hypoglycemia. So you see, this is a very dangerous case because accumulation of this fructose 1-phosphate is allosterically inhibits a liver glycogen phosphorylase enzymes. And remember that glycogen phosphorylase enzymes is a key enzyme in glycogenolysis. So as a result of that, glycogen will not be metabolized, it will not be break down for the maintenance of blood glucose levels. So as a result of that, it will lead to hypoglycemia. Then the treatment, earlier detection and intake of a diet free from fructose and sucrose are advised to overcome fructose intolerance. So it is very important to understand the treatment. So this one, we can treat the disease from the nutritional point of view based on the diet, based on the control of the diet. So, and then the next thing is the essential fructosuria. So this is due to deficiency of fructose or fructokinase. So the fructose in this case is not converted into fructose 1-phosphate, so that it will be blocked. Then as a result of that, then the fructose will be accumulated. So this is an asymptomatic condition with excretion of excretion of fructose in the urine. It's an asymptomatic condition. And then the next one is galactosemia. Galactosemia, so it is a serious autosomal recessive disease resulting in the deficiency of galactose 1 uridyl transferase that leads to, and as a result of that, this will lead to the accumulation of galactose 1-phosphate in the liver, and it becomes toxic. So because of the deficiency of these enzymes, that is uridyl transferase, then of course the galactose 1-phosphate cannot be converted into UDP galactose. So as a result of that, then the galactose 1-phosphate will be accumulated in the liver. So that colossal accumulation leads to make the liver to be intoxicated with the galactose 1-phosphate. And the incidence is usually 1 in 35,000. So this is what it blocks the metabolism. So therefore the UDP will not be generated. And then of course galactose 1-phosphate will be accumulated. So what happened when this is accumulated? Then of course the galactose will be built off, and other chemicals can also cause a serious health like swallow swollen and of course inflamed liver. So the liver will be swollen and it will become inflamed, and it can also lead to kidney failure. So stunted physical and mental growth also occur. Then cataract in the eyes. So it means that it causes eyes problem. It causes eyes problem. So it also causes the problems of our eyes. So, and if the condition is not treated, there is a 70% chance that the child will die. So therefore, the treatment, you can also control this from the diet. So galactose-free diet is free fat, that is milk will be avoided. Yeah, you will avoid taking milk. So the child will be avoided from taking milk. So the child will be recommended for any other source of food that do not talk or that do not contain galactose. So then the next thing after this is, so this is actually what happened. There is a brain damage, there is a cataract, jaundice, enlarged liver, kidney damage. So if a galactosemic infant is given milk, unmetabolized milk sugar will build up and then damage the liver, the eyes, and then kidneys and the brain. So this is what happened. The brain will be affected, the kidney will be affected, and then the eyes will be affected. So it's a very dangerous condition. And then the next one is actually essential Pentosuria. So it is a rare autosomal disorder and benign condition asymptomatic. So individual does not allow any ill effect. So incidence is usually in one in 2,500 births. So primarily in Jewish population is usually found there. So it is autosomal and the individual does not show any ill effects. It doesn't show any. And then, of course, the lack of the xylitol dehydrogenase leads to the accumulation of large amount of L-xylulose in urine. So therefore, and due to this, the xylulose, because if the enzyme is deficient, it means that L-xylulose will not be converted into xylitol. So it is also reported after administration of It's also reported after administration of drugs such as aminopirin and antipirin. So these are the drugs that I can use in the treatment. So the next thing is actually a galactose storage disease, which is this is actually the metabolic defect that concerned with glycogen synthesis, and degradation, which are collectively called glycogen storage disease. So the disease can affect both the synthesis and the degradation of the glycogen. So all glycogen storage disease disorders are autosomal recessive disorders except type 8. So incidence estimated to be 1 in 1. So lack 1 million births per year in all ethnic groups. So it means that it is also a rare cases because it affects only 1% in 1 million births. So these are actually the disorders. So the disorder we have type 1, which is called von Geerk's disease. So the disease is also it happens due to glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase. That is the enzymes that remove phosphate from the glucose after glycogenolysis. And then there is type 2, which is Pompe's disease. It is actually due to the lysosomal alpha-1 glucosidase enzymes deficiency. So it affects all organs. And we have type 2, which actually due to deficiency of the debranching enzyme, specifically amylo-1-cis glucosidase. It affects liver, muscle fat, and the leukocytes. Then we have type 4 called Anderson disease. It's due to glucosyl-4-6 transferase deficiency. So it also affects most tissues. We have 5 to actually the disease is due to muscles glycogen phosphorylase deficiency. So it only affects skeletal muscles. And we have type 6, which is actually the deficiency of, and it also co-has disease. So it's due to deficiency of liver, glycogen phosphorylase, so it only affects livers. Then there is also class 7, which is called Story's disease, and it is due to phosphofructokinase deficiency, which affects the skeletal muscles and erythrocytes. So these are actually the incidence of the disease. It is 1 out of 1,000 for type 1, 1 out of 1,175,000, and of course it is 1 out of 1 million, 1 million, 1 million, 1 million for type 2, for type 4, type 5, type 6, type 7. So these are the number, or these are the chromosomes locations. That is the gene usually, or the deficient genes are found on these locations. These are the locations of the genes where they are located. And then the disorders, the features, that is the symptoms, include, for type 1, it includes hypoglycemia, hepatomegaly, cirrhosis, ketosis, and hyperuricemia. And then for type 2, it is a generalized glycogen deposit, so it is a lysosomal storage disease. And then for type 3, we have hepatomegaly, cirrhosis. For type 4, we have hepatomegaly, cirrhosis. For type 5, we have exercise intolerance. And then for type, we have hepatomegaly and hyperuricemia. So this glycogen storage disease, like type 6, it is an X-linked recessive disorder. So the frequency is 1 in 125,000 baht. And the enzyme deficiency is phosphorylase kinase. So these are the clinical features, which include hepatomegaly and fibrosis in children. And these symptoms improve with age and usually disappear after puberty. So fasting hypoglycemia, it causes fasting hypoglycemia. It also causes hyperlipidemia, and there is a growth retardation. Growth often normalizes by adult as well, and there is an elevated serum transaminase level. So it means that for the glycogen storage disease, because it causes hepatomegaly, it affects liver. So there is a likelihood the liver will damage, and as a result of that, it will release aspartate aminotransferase and alanine transferase. So that is why in many cases, when there is a disease like this, you don't just judge that it is actually due to the problem from the liver enzymes. It may be caused as a result of the glycogen storage disease. So some people will think that, okay, the problem is coming from either aspartate aminotransferase, or no, is something, or is one thing that caused the liver to be damaged, and then the aspartate and alanine transferase will be released. So the enzymes are like a biomarkers. So if they are above 500 units per mil, it means that the liver is having problem. So then the next thing that we are going to look at in the next video is Mucopolysaccharidoses. We have type 1. We have type 1, and then, we have, we have type 1. So we have Mucopolysaccharidoses. So we also have type 1, type 2, type 3, type 4, type 5, type 6, up to type 7. So the type 1 disease is called Ull's syndromes, and it is due to L-hydrogenase deficiency. And we have type 2, which is called Hunter's, and it is due to iduronate deficiency, or iduronate sulfatase deficiency. And we have type 3, which is actually called Sanfilippo's disorder, and is due to N-acetyl glucosaminidase or heparin sulfatase deficiency. We have type 4, which is called Moschus, and it is actually due to galactose. It is due to galactosamine sulfatase deficiency. And we have Sachs disease, which is actually due to hydrogenase deficiency. And we also have marotheoxylamis, and this is actually due to N-acetyl beta galactosaminodes galactosamino 4 sulfatase deficiency. And we have the last one, which is type 7, is called flash disease, and is due to glucuronidase deficiency. So you have actually mucopolysaccharides. So mucopolysaccharides are usually heteropolysaccharides. That is the sugars that have different repeating unit. We have heteropolysaccharide, we have homopolysaccharide, and we have heteropolysaccharide. So homopolysaccharide are sugars that have the same repeating unit, but mucopolysaccharide are sugars that have different repeating units. They have different repeating units. Okay. So, and deficiency of the utilization or processing those sugars leads to a disease called mucopolysaccharidosis. And each of the mucopolysaccharide has its specific enzyme that processes it. And the deficiency of that enzymes will actually lead to the block of processing the substrate. So as a result of that, it will now lead to a medical conditions. And this mucopolysaccharidosis, we have 1 to 7. And in some cases, this disease, it affects so many people. As I think of last 2 weeks, we have a similar cases here where a girl was found to have the mucopolysaccharidosis. So what are the symptoms? So all mucopolysaccharidosis show skeletal deformity, and they have corneal clouding and corneal opacity, and they have mental retardation except for type 5 and 6. So there is also urinary excretion of respective mucopolysaccharides. And of course, this respective mucopolysaccharide, we have chondroitin sulfate, damatane sulfate, heparan sulfate, and keratin sulfate. So sometimes if you actually want to test a disease like this, you check in the urine. So in the urine, if you find any of this, that tells us that it means that the patient is actually affected with the mucopolysaccharidosis. So it is, you can use urine to test the conditions of the disease, and of course it causes mental retardation. So sometimes when people that have mental retardation is due to actually this mucopolysaccharidosis. So now what are the overview of general carbohydrate metabolisms and the deficiency. So the enzyme deficiency, like for example, in the case where we have hexokinase, fructokinase, and glucose 6-phosphate dehydrogenase deficiency, it will cause a disease called hemolytic anemia. Then pyruvate dehydrogenase causes lactic acidosis, and then muscular hypotonia, and then lactase and aldose, because lactose intolerance and fructose intolerance, and of course fructokinase called Fructosuria, and then this enzyme which is galactose 1,5-uridase transferase, then galactokinase, and then uridine diphosphate galactose 4 ephemerase called galactosamia. And then we have L-xylitol dehydrogenase, which cause essential Pentosuria. And then of course there are so many enzymes that causes glycogen storage disorders and mucopolysaccharidosis, which we are going to look at one after the other. So now then the next thing that we are going to look at is the Wernicke syndromes, the Wernicke syndromes disease. And of course, what is a Wernicke syndrome disease? A Wernicke-Korsakoff syndrome, it is a genetic disorder associated with hexose monophosphate shunt, that is pentose phosphate pathway, but it is not an inborn error. So it is due to actually alteration in transketolase enzymes. Remember, in the non-oxidative phase of pentose phosphate pathway, we have an enzyme called transketolase, and its activity reduces the affinity of TPP. Yes, that is thymidine pyrophosphate, TPP. So then symptoms are associated with mental disorder, loss of memory, and partial paralysis. And these symptoms are manifested in chronic alcoholics whose diet are thiamine deficient. So it causes, these symptoms manifested in chronic alcoholics, and then whole diets are thiamine deficient. So it actually reduces the affinity of thiamine for phosphates due to the alteration or due to deficiency of the enzymes. So ladies and gentlemen, this is where we are going to stop, and thank you very much for watching my videos. And if this is the first time you are coming, please subscribe. Thank you.